Love espresso, drip coffee, and cold brew? With the Ninja Luxe Cafe, if you can crave it, you can brew it. Espresso, balanced. Drip coffee, rich. Cold brew in a flash. With Barista Assist technology, you brew with no stress and no guesswork and make perfect silky microfoam hands-free from dairy or plant-based milks. Shop the Ninja Luxe Cafe at ninjakitchen.com.
Wait, why do people do preseason games?
We'll get this.
Is it like a dress rehearsal?
You got to get ready for the season. Yeah,
I mean, we could explain fantasy football to you as well.
Oh, God,
like,
let's not.
Hard pass.
We don't have time for that today. No.
Welcome to the Ankler Podcast. It's Wednesday, August 20th, and I'm your host, Elaine Lowe, staff writer at The Ankler and author of the series Business Newsletter. I'm here with Sean McNulty of The Wake Up and Natalie Jarvie of Like and Subscribe. So many of our listeners work in entertainment on scripted shows, animation, reality TV, and it's an incredibly significant part of Hollywood. But when it comes to what American viewers are actually watching, live sports dominate the small screen. And they're not cheap. For instance, Disney, NBC, and Amazon spent a combined $76 billion on NBA rights for the next 11 years. And those kinds of deals have an enormous impact on which of your favorite shows come back and what kind of risks creators of scripted and non-scripted TV are able to take. So we're going to talk about what all that means, because sports aren't just dominating broadcast, they're spreading across every direct-to-consumer platform. This week, of course, marks the launch of the biggest sports-focused streamer of them all, ESPN's standalone streaming service. Sean, normally I would now cede the floor to you on this one, but it is the first week of the U.S. Open, which means I fired up my subscription to ESPN Plus.
Yeah?
What is it, ESPN Select they're calling
Select,
it now?
Yeah, Select.
Yeah, they got my $11.99 this month. I'm going to watch the hell out of some mixed doubles later.
That's it. 1 month and you're out, though, right? The Open's done by mid-September,
I'm going to churn in and out. I'm one of those kinds of viewers.
You're a 1 month churner. You're the worst kind of sub they can have.
They don't want
terrible.
me. They don't care about my $12.
Oh, they'll take your $12. Don't worry about that, Elaine. But they would love to have you longer. I'm sure you'll get plenty of follow-up emails asking, would you like to upgrade to the $30 a month service?
But they never offer me like a discount.
Because you subscribed for 1 month. Why would I offer you a discount? They know your history.
Peacock came at me with like, hey, you want to subscribe to a whole year for $20?
$20?
And I didn't take it. And you know what? I kind of regret not doing it now.
You did not take that?
I did
not. Come on. That's a fool's. Oh, man. I got
Natalie,
that one.
do you subscribe to Peacock, ESPN, any of these?
I have them all, Elaine. Unfortunately, we are a sports household, so we can't live without any of these platforms.
Okay, so before we talk more sports ball, we've got Dealmakers columnist Ashley Cullins on here with us with the latest quarterly Hollywood Deals report, in which she has the ear of the industry's top deal makers and has harvested all of their insights for us, from reaction around town to Hailey Bieber's billion-dollar sale of her cosmetics company Rhode, to potential suitors who might buy Lionsgate. Hey, Ashley.
Hi.
Okay, so Ashley, based on your survey, and tell us a little bit about how it all comes together. Like, what's your takeaway on how busy they were this spring?
Generally about as busy or busier than this time last year. But it's one of those things where everybody's kind of waiting for the new normal. It still hasn't started yet, right? Like, somebody pointed out that we haven't had like a boring status quo period since pre-pandemic, which was at this point. But, compared to the last year of not normal, things are looking pretty good and people are feeling pretty cautiously optimistic.
That's pretty funny, because it seems like the same when you talk to writers and producers of like, well, we don't know what the new normal is yet. Last year was supposed to be the new normal and then it wasn't. But this year, maybe a little closer.
This year or next year, we'll see. I don't know.
2026, man. Hold it out. That's the dream, everybody.
Survive till 26 just doesn't have the same ring to it, though, guys.
We got to come up with a better rhyme.
No.
Some big-time names had some big deals this past quarter. Hailey Bieber sold Rhode to Elf Beauty in a deal valued at $1 billion in cash and stock for her company that brings in more than $200 million in revenue a year. And the Smartless podcast guys, I love their pod, Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett, they launched a mobile phone service in 2025.
You can generally tell whether somebody is in which camp. Either there are people who are like, yeah, great job, star-powered entrepreneurship, yay. And then there are people who just like kind of eye roll and go like, can people please just stop doing this now? But when everybody's making less TV and less film and you need more alternative sources of income, like brand deals and launching businesses as a way to do that. And we're in a time when maybe more than ever, Hollywood is reliant on IP and known quantities in the form of movie stars. So it would only make sense then that brand power also is relying on star-driven IP.
You know, this is interesting, Ashley, because I feel like based on some of my reporting, I was hearing that we might finally have started to reach kind of a saturation point with all these like celebrity talent branded businesses, and that maybe it would slow down a little bit. I mean, like, you know, how many like tequila brands could we all like list off right now off the top of our heads? But then you go and have a big exit like Hailey Bieber's Road. And I feel like anytime there's one of these big exits, it kind of gets everyone excited again about the possibilities. So is that what you're hearing basically? Is that, you know, this could actually continue to spur more activity and deal making in this space?
Yeah, because I think there's a certain level of, well, beauty brands always go for big numbers, but this happened so fast. That company was founded like 3 years ago. And so I do think that it has sort of reinvigorated people. Like, no, this isn't over yet.
Yeah, the categories are interesting to watch, where it's like you had Jennifer Garner and Jessica Alba kind of doing the healthy, you know, food kind of thing. And liquor was big, but liquor right now is not big, not hot at all.
No.
To your point, probably got oversaturated and so forth. And thankfully, Clooney and I think The Rock, you know, and certainly Reynolds made out pretty well. Everybody else.
But we've got other drink companies like, isn't it Alex Cooper who's doing Unwell?
Now it's going, the Poppy
Alex
deal.
Earl, well, I guess Alex Earl has a partnership with Poppy, not quite her own brand. But
and
still.
she also has a canned margarita line now that she's partnered with. So yeah, these deals are coming still. And in the creator space, especially, I think every creator is looking for their opportunity to, you know, have that brand extension that feels natural and feels obvious fit for them to expand beyond, you know, just YouTube.
Ownership's where it's at. It's, you know, but movie you don't own. You get a check and probably get bought out. You know, Ashley, you don't have the profits. Only a few people of a tier get a certain amount of, you know, level out of that, Ashley. But these things, it's like, that's where the real money is. That's where they're attracting the deal makers, right?
Yeah. And when I had done a story specifically on this sort of like brand partnerships, entrepreneurship space earlier this year, it sounds like all the VCs want pet products. Like that's the area where all the money is.
Dogs. All right. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, crypto was in Superman.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Dogs are having a moment.
It's James Gunn. He needs to get his own line of something going on there for sure.
And if James Gunn doesn't have a dog deal in mind, my dog, James Bond, as you can tell, is very passionate about this subject, and I'm sure he'd be game.
James Bond. I didn't realize your dog's name was James Bond. That's perfect.
I did not realize that either. Yeah.
Perfect intersection of interest.
And that one is Felix, as in lighter.
Okay, well, what do James Bond and Felix and or yourself make of the chatter around Lionsgate? That's the sort of the next major, when we're talking about big M&A deals that might come down the way. You know, that's one that people have their eye on of who might Lionsgate sell to.
Everybody kind of agrees that Lionsgate's like the next Paramount, like the next thing. And they've been talking about it forever. This is not a new conversation.
Lionsgate said it themselves on earnings call, like, yeah, we're looking for a deal. We expect one to happen. Anybody want to buy us?
Yeah, they just split from Stars. So, like,
we're
are they more
divorced.
appealing
We're on the
now?
market. Yeah, got a new haircut. Come on.
Yeah, one of the most like ooh quotes in my whole piece was a deal maker, a corporate lawyer, who told me that Lionsgate is more valuable as a pure library play than an ongoing company. And it's a bit like, yeah, but ouch. So yeah, it could go a lot of ways. There's speculation that a studio looking for scale could consider it. A streamer looking for library could consider it. Obviously, there's chatter about Legendary. So everybody pretty much expects that something is going to happen with Lionsgate finally in the very near future.
Interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. And thanks so much for joining us, Ashley. And congratulations on the publication this week of your book, Your Favorite Scary Movie, How the Scream Films Rewrote the Rules of Horror. And when we get back, let's talk about how your living room, your laptop, your phone have become the ultimate sports bars. See you back here in a moment.
This episode is brought to you by Mott's Applesauce. So you're looking for a snack your kid will love and you can feel great about? Give them a Mott's no sugar added applesauce pouch. Made from real, delicious apples and a good source of vitamin C, too. Perfect for tossing in a lunchbox or grabbing for on the go. Mott's. Real apples make real good applesauce. Learn more about Mott's no sugar added applesauce at Mott's.com.
I'm Natalie Jarvie, and I write Like and Subscribe, a newsletter about the big business of the creator economy. It's a $250 billion a year industry, and it's producing the next generation of stars. If you're on the internet, and if you're listening to this, you clearly are, you can't afford to be out of the loop. In Like and Subscribe, I'll tell you what's next for YouTube now that it's beating Netflix in the living room, what's happening with TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat, and whether Hollywood is still a place for creators to make money, or just a legacy pit stop to bypass. I'll also bring you up close with the biggest creators in the world so that they can tell you what's working, where the deals are, and how they keep growing and growing. So check out Like and Subscribe by Natalie Jarvie. That's me, on Substack, a new subscription from the same team who bring you The Ankler. Go to likeandsubscribenews.substack.com. Likeandsubscribenews.substack.com. I'll see you there soon.
Welcome back to the Ankler Podcast. I'm Elaine Lowe here with Natalie Jarvie of Like and Subscribe and Sean McNulty of the Wake Up newsletter. You know, guys, I was thinking lately about how so much of the industry focuses on scripted TV, prestige TV, especially around this time of year during Emmy season. But then you look at the ratings, and it's a really stark contrast between what we talk about here and what people are watching. And I have some numbers here for you. If you look at Variety's list of the top 100 most watched primetime telecasts in 2024, 75 out of 100 of those were live sports, thanks to the NFL, the Paris Summer Olympics, the NBA Finals, the World Series. But that's up from 56 spots in 2023. Does that surprise you, Sean?
No, not at all. I'm not sure what group you're putting yourselves in there. I'm in with those people, so I don't know what you're talking about here. I'm not watching, when the Emmys air on Sunday night, I'll be watching the premiere of NFL football or Sunday Night Football on NBC. So I'll flip back to the Emmys, and I'll be kind of doing my usual, I have a little system down there. But no, that's, look, there was a preseason NFL game on Fox on Sunday, I think. It was the Bears versus Buffalo. 38-0. It got 5 million viewers on Fox, which is probably more than most scripted series do in a live session on any network out there. So this is, that just tells you right there what we're talking about here, Elaine.
And Elaine, preseason games don't count for anything. If you didn't know that.
Thank you, Nat. And it meant 38-0, and it meant nothing. Yes, exactly right, Natalie.
Yeah. That sounds so anticlimactic. Wait, why do people do preseason games?
Yeah. All right, but
is it like a dress rehearsal?
You got to get ready for the season. Yeah,
I mean, we could explain fantasy football to you as well.
Oh, God,
Elaine,
let's not.
And
We don't have time for that today. No. Let's stick to the media, people.
But yeah, speaking of football, the Super Bowl was the #1 telecast on the list, which helped obviously make CBS the top broadcast network by ratings last year. And football occupied the top 11 spots on that. And only in 12th place was the presidential debate on ABC, followed by the Oscars in 13th place. And the first scripted show that pops up on that list is an episode of Tracker in 69th place and Young Sheldon in 71st place, both shows on CBS. And it's not the episode of Tracker that came right after the Super Bowl. It's a totally different episode of Tracker.
The Tracker's a hit, man. Loving it. Yeah.
But yeah, when you look at the fall TV schedule, I don't know, Natalie, you and I have been covering TV for a long time. It's kind of wild to see the diminishment of scripted shows on broadcast.
I mean, it's sad to see because I love to watch a good scripted show, but it's not surprising when you spell it out the way you just did. If people are watching live sports, that's where these companies are going to be investing their time and money. And we're seeing that, right? With NBC doing a big NBA deal, we're going to get a lot more live sports on NBC in the fall.
Well, let's lay this out here. I mean, you're going to have NFLs on essentially 3 nights a week. So you got Sunday, Monday, and Thursday is on Amazon, but that gets 15 million viewers a week. You're having NBA as of January. You will have the NBA on 7 days a week on a major streamer across the country. You have it on NBC on Sunday, every Sunday night and Tuesday night, Sunday after football ends. You're going to have it on ABC. You're going to, so this is, the broadcast networks, not to mention college football, which also gets, anywhere from 5 to 10 to, sometimes 15 million viewers on mainly dominating Saturday night or Saturday all day, really. So you're running out of days here a little bit. And there's just talk today in the ether. The baseball deal is up at ESPN. They're changing. That's Sunday Night Baseball. NBC is in play for that as well. So that may be year-round Sunday sports on NBC, and maybe even on Friday, rumor that it's leaving Apple, which could be Peacock or NBC. So again, this is all what's happening. But we go to the upfronts and look at a lot of the people were reporting.
Oh, of course, Sports Central, yeah.
But what was up this year was the sports is up double digits and scripted is not up. Scripted is down. So it's like, what do the advertisers want? And that's what's really driving all of this. Investment. Are they overspending? Is a legitimate question. Can you make all that money back? We shall see. It'll be a very, very interesting fall, Elaine.
Yeah, and let's talk about the money part of it in a little bit, because those sports rights do not come cheap. But I think NBC is such an interesting example of what happens when you've got this influx of sports, which is clearly what people want. But it's like, what happened to their scripted slate? Canceled this season were Night Court, The Irrational, Found, Suits LA, and Lopez versus Lopez. You've got 5 scripted series just cleared off of the slate now. I mean, it's a question as to, if they were on the bubble and you didn't have the NBA, would these shows have come back? But you do have the NBA, and so you've got to find space for all those games. And so those are the shows that go. And, there's a huge impact of live sports on the scripted TV community. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like when we have these conversations around town, there's, I don't want to say a willful ignorance, but there is definitely just at least a blissful ignorance of hey, sports actually has an enormous impact on what we do in this town.
That's why I write about it all the time in the Wake Up, and everybody, kind of what is, sports? I'm like, because this impacts the other movie and TV deals and streaming deals that I write about. I mean, follow the money. I mean, Paramount alone is now spending an average of $1.1 billion a year for UFC. All right. I mean, some estimates I read today in a column from Hernan Lopez. It was that's 1/4 of the Paramount Plus spending, as of now. So yeah, where's that coming from? Is there more money coming in the door? We'll see. Things happen over time, but it's got to come from somewhere. You mentioned all those NBC shows. Well, you don't have Tuesday night to program anymore. So yeah, we don't need that much inventory anymore. So what's working on Peacock? What is not working on Peacock? That's a big thing.
We're talking about the streaming part of it, right? Peacock has it's aside from the NBA, they have PGA Golf, they have Premier League Soccer, they have motocross, and then Prime Video has really expanded their offerings, right? Especially now with these NBA games, in addition to Thursday Night Football, and they have WNBA and certain Yankees games now. It's it's very clear where some of these streamers' priorities are, especially for more sports-focused ones like them.
Well, and Elaine, you didn't mention the Olympics for Peacock, which is huge, honestly is driving a lot of the innovation for the Peacock app itself. They've had to make a number of improvements to the app and changes, and all these multi-screen functionalities.
Gold Zone, wasn't the Gold Zone it or so? Is that the name? Yeah.
They've done a lot to improve the viewing experience around the Olympics.
I remember what it was like in 2020 trying to log on to that Peacock app for the Olympics. Then
everybody remembers
huge improvements.
I remember what it was like.
This year got 4 thumbs up. Everybody's you got it. Thanks, guys. You finally got it.
I remember what it was like before we could stream the Olympics at all. I had alerts set on my phone for what time I needed to wake up to watch certain sports, early in the morning. These are huge priorities for especially a Peacock, because they drive so much viewership. It's every couple of years, but it's still massive when it happens.
But it's still, for Peacock, what's interesting is it's a smaller streamer. It's still trying to find mass appeal, and this seems like the entryway in. And then you contrast that to a place like Netflix, which has very much so been we're not going to wade into it the same way all these other streamers have, but they have, they have the WWE, they have a couple of boxing matches, Sean? I mean, what's on their roster of live sports?
Yeah, they just actually announced another one, recording here on Wednesday. Another Jake Paul fight coming up in November this year. They have another boxing.
They've got the monopoly on the Jake Paul fights.
They have another boxing match in Vegas in September. So they are kind of all in on boxing and wrestling to that degree.
And they do have an NFL Christmas games. They have started to dip their toe into some of these bigger sports rights conversations as well.
This is the new cable in America, is Netflix. So how do we best use that and bang for the buck? Because Ted's famously said you don't own sports, you rent them, all these other things that that's escalation of rights over time. It's hard to really get the cost back. And they've learned a lot. They've had Raw, on the whole WWE deal since January. So now we're 8 months here of data, and they've learned about ad sales. So they keep learning, and they keep, it's what Netflix does. They try things, they innovate, they see what works. We probably won't see another Netflix slam, Elaine. I'm sorry. I don't know that one took off,
Sad.
but that was another experiment they tried.
But, we also see the pop in scripted sports series around all this, which you got to imagine has a direct line to the popularity of live sports on TV. There's Stick, there's the revival of Ted Lasso, right? There's season 4 taking place in America. There's Running Point on Netflix. And now there's Chad Powers, the one with the Mannings, and Glenn Powell that's coming up that people seem to be really excited about. I mean, I don't know, Sean, do you feel like these help move the needle? Like there's this boom in scripted sports series, but like, are they working?
Yeah, I mean, look, sports is a great, backdrop for storytelling. It's been that way theatrically for decades.
Right. I'll watch Owen Wilson coach a kid playing golf. It's cute. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just it. And that's what you're talking about. It's like Ted Lasso. Who's interested in, is Premier League a major sport in this country? No. But was it a massive Apple? Was it because of soccer? No. Like it's because it was a show that worked creatively.
Well, I want to know what you guys make of the new ESPN streamer. How much runway does a service like that have? I mean, it doesn't come cheap. How much is it? It's like $30 a month, John.
Yeah.
And ESPN head Jimmy Pitaro calls it, quote, probably the biggest transition in our history. And he was hyping up like the personalization aspect, the interactivity. There's going to be like betting available on
ESPN
this app.
Bet, sure. Yeah.
Like, how big of a market is there for this? I mean, where do you guys see this going?
I could see it, and if you have cable, you get it for free. So again, you will have those users who can access it that way, or if your parents have cable and you have their login, you can also access it to a certain degree, which may be the more popular route for certain folks, over $30 a month. Even, Fox One is also launching, we should mention that as well, which is, again, all the Fox Sports and as well as Fox News for a monthly fee. And, we shall see how much, what's the, how many people will generally cut the cord are people who don't watch sports. So to look at the quarter audience is not like, oh, these are all sports fans who've abandoned us. I'm like, it's most people who were paying for sports but not watching it. So no one has really super high expectations, but I think honestly, no one also really, we're going to find out literally, flip the switch, put those football games on, Elaine, and we're going to have a lot of data coming in. Disney will have a lot of data and Fox will have a lot of data. Whether we see any of this, I'll be very, very doubtful about any of that stuff. Because they wouldn't want to come out and say, hey, we got 1 million subscribers. What's a bad look here? It's hard to say how that's going to be received. So that'll be interesting to watch.
All right. So lastly, though, what does turning sort of this home viewing into a sports bar, like the fact that TV now is basically your 24/7 sports bar. I mean, like, what does that mean for each of you when it comes to are you guys watching more sports these days? Are you watching less? Sean, I feel like this is kind of like a lopsided question for you.
Yeah, I know. Let's go to Natalie up first on this one.
I was going to say, Sean's celebrating. I mean, I've already been watching a lot of sports. I think my household is probably 50-50 split between sports and, scripted
The Gilded
TV.
Age.
And the Gilded Age, yes, just the Gilded Age.
I love it.
We have football games on every night of the week that they're on during football season. We watch a lot of basketball. I love the Olympics. So does this mean that we're going to watch more? I don't know about that. We're going to watch the things that we've always wanted to watch, the games that matter to us. But it's certainly nice to have it be easier to watch them. And that's the thing with the ESPN app. The easier you can make it for people to watch your live sports, the more people will presumably watch. How they'll watch, what platform they'll be on, how they'll subscribe, that's all, to be determined. But at the end of the day, the more easier you make it, the more people presumably will come in.
So is it mostly ambient viewing then? You said you have football games on most nights of the week. Like, are you guys like watching, or is it like on in the background?
Depends on who you talk to in my household. But there are games that really matter to us, and then there are games that we just kind of want to know what's generally going on.
Yeah,
Sean, dare I ask what your viewing habits are like at home?
Well, I mean, look, I mostly write in the evening, so I'm just looking for something to have on in the background. I'm not having something scripted on. So for me, it's just a perfect marriage of things where football, I will Natalie pay more attention to a degree, but I'll have basketball or hockey games on where I'm like, look, there's 82, games a year. I'm not like, they don't really mean that much, where NFL definitely means much more for each game. But back to that point, where was I watching them, Elaine? A lot of them were on Max. The thing that no one's talked about here in this whole all the kind of this media conversation about, we're going to find out. Max has had sports for 2 years. They have pretty good data.
But
They've
what
said nothing
sports?
on it.
Like a lot of college
NBA,
sports, right?
NBA and
Did
NHL.
they? Oh,
Yes,
well.
they've had 2 major sports for 2 years in streaming. Have you seen a huge bump in subs at HBO Max in the past 2 years? No. Frankly, it went down for a year. Their total sub number, I think the first year they added sports into the streaming mix. So there's, again, back to your point, Elaine, how big is this audience? You could have subscribed to Max to watch essentially half of the NBA season and half of the NHL season. The other halves were on ESPN. Nobody talked about this for 2 years. Max didn't release any numbers about viewership, did not indicate that this was a major element. So that's the kind of this thing that no one really talks about, that like, this is brand new. I'm like, no, I literally have watched those sports on Max for 2 years.
Well, here's a question then. Is it a bubble? And like, are people overpaying for sports rights? Is that the next bubble that's approaching this industry?
As I said, this fall will be the most interesting time in sports media that I can, and certainly in recent memory in my head, of just like, all right, these audiences showing up?
All right, so let's round out the week with box office time. Sean, speaking of sports, I finally watched F1 in theaters on IMAX. You'll be proud to know.
I was. You joined our Monday Morning Quarterback chat on Substack and dropped a little note in there. I was so proud of you. I was like, wow, did you like it? What did you think?
I think that Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer are like really bent on bringing back the 80s, and that's not necessarily an insult, but it's or a compliment. It's just
it's an observation.
It's an observation. But listen, I gladly turned off my whole brain and let that Hans Zimmer score wash over me in IMAX.
Driving on race courses throughout. I mean, a lot of driving.
Brad Pitt, fast cars. Yeah, all right, fine.
Well, the Hollywood community thanks you for your kind donations to the cause there, Lane.
Well, what should I watch this weekend?
Well, are you guys going to see K-pop? Netflix is covering the movie theaters.
Sing along, that's right.
Did you get tickets? I've heard all these sellouts going on.
They were sold out. I was talking to a fellow parent outside the schoolyard yesterday who was like, this weekend we're going to go see K-pop Demon Hunters in theaters. She's like, I'm going to bring headphones because I've already seen this movie 12 times. But my first grader really wants to see it.
It's funny that the parents will be the one looking at their phones during the movies. The kids. Yeah, exactly. So Natalie, you're not involved in this whole.
My kids are too young, so I get to avoid this one. I have watched it from the comfort of my couch, which was great. I don't need to go to a movie theater to see it.
I was going to say, not solo ticket to the sing along.
Yeah.
No, but can I tease for you both, and Sean, you'll maybe get a kick out of this, that I'm going to see The Wizard of Oz in the Sphere next week.
Fancy.
So
speaking of big screens,
I can report back on that once I've seen it. I know it's a bit controversial at the moment.
Very controversial, which I still don't quite get. But yeah.
Wait, why is it controversial?
Because of the AI that was used to kind of expand the story to be part of the Sphere surround sound.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to get mad about that.
I don't know why people do anyway. But yes, I'd love to hear what that's like, Natalie. That looks really cool. The clips I've seen, the promos they've done, and they've done a nice job with it. So that'll be there for a while.
I hear it's like the 4D seats, so this will be my first experience in one of those. But I'll give you my full report.
Yeah, it's all about the experiences now. This is it. You got to give us a reason to come to the theater here, especially
millennials. We love a good experience.
It's all about those millennials, exactly, getting the big bucks. But this thing, as I said, it's over 1,000 screenings have sold out for K-pop already, and it's over recording here on Wednesday. I think it's on about 1,700 screens. AMC is not showing it. That's the country's largest theater chain. They could be missing out on a big weekend. There's not a lot else going on this weekend, so it's interesting to see how this goes. But the only experiment we've had here is the Glass Onion thing that they did a couple of years ago, which grossed about $13 million over 5 days, and that was only on like 700 screens.
Oh, I think we're gonna blow past 13 million with this one.
Could be this thing that no one had on their radar, myself included, for end of summer, that kind of gives it another jolt of life. So
you know, when we were talking about K-pop Demon Hunters a couple of weeks ago, one thought that did cross my mind is how well would this movie have done if Netflix had started it off as a theatrical release, or did it actually need it to gain steam in this streaming fashion, playing it at home for these kids before it was able to turn into such a massive box office hit, which it will presumably be this weekend?
You can't engineer a hit. So, it's impossible to know what would have happened if they had done it differently, but, they should be pleased with the results that ths had.
And again, this did not open big on Netflix. This grew from week.
You're right.
So again,
$9 million that
the
first
opening
week.
weekend on this, you would have spent $30-40 million on marketing. Would you even have spent that much to open this thing? So again, the dynamics are very, very different, and the music didn't really take off for a little while. So I'm with Natalie on this. I think 100% this is a Netflix grown hit.
We will report back next week with the numbers. For now, that's a wrap on this week's Ankler Pod. Visit theankler.com to subscribe to our full suite of newsletters and podcasts for the latest industry insights. And if you enjoy the show, which I hope you do, leave us a rating and review. You can also follow us at The Ankler on all major social platforms. Thanks to Sean McNulty, Natalie Jarvie, and Ashley Cullens for joining, and a special thanks to you all for listening. I'm Elaine Lowe. See you next week.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.